The News 4 Rundown starts now.
Antley, it's Thursday, May 7th, and here's a look at some of the stories we're following for you tonight. Coming up, more people are turning to artificial intelligence to tell them what to have for dinner. But a new report out found the results you see leaves out more than 8 in 10 businesses. Now, more on the findings and what you're more likely to see when you ask AI for help. Plus, making it easier for every Virginian to vote. The push for more accessible ballots for those living with a disability. But we begin tonight with 2 prominent Virginia Democrats facing separate investigations by the Trump administration. Yesterday, FBI agents searched the office of State Senator Louise Lucas and the cannabis dispensary she co-owns. And the Department of Justice launched a separate probe into Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney, Steve Descano. Some Democrats have questioned the timing and the motives of these investigations. News 4's Mauricio Casillas has the latest on both tonight.
In the case of Senator Louise Lucas, she has not been arrested and no charges have been filed, but the FBI raid comes on the heels of Virginia's push to redraw congressional maps in favor of Democrats, and Lucas was a key and outspoken champion of that effort. It's worth noting some Virginia Democrats, including Governor Abigail Spanberger, have been tight-lipped in their responses, saying they're waiting for more information to come out before weighing in. The Descano case is notably different. It centers on how he carries out his duties as prosecutor, specifically in cases involving undocumented immigrants. And it, of course, comes as the Trump administration continues to make immigration enforcement one of its top priorities. 2 major federal investigations are thrusting Virginia Democratic politicians into the spotlight. This was the scene in Portsmouth, Virginia, Wednesday, as FBI agents searched State Senator Louise Lucas's office and a cannabis business she co-owns. The FBI only confirmed agents conducted a court-authorized search. A source telling NBC News this stems from a corruption investigation dating back to the Biden era. In a statement, Senator Lucas said, quote, "What we saw fits a clear pattern from this administration. When challenged, they try to intimidate and silence the voices who stand up to them. I will have more to say in the days ahead, but know this, I am not backing down," end quote. A statement echoed by Virginia Speaker of the House Don Scott, who says he was concerned by the raid and due to politicization said the administration's actions need to be taken with a grain of salt. Governor Spanberger had this to say.
I am awaiting more details to become public before weighing in with any strong public comment.
The DOJ, meanwhile, said its Civil Rights Division is looking into how Fairfax County Commonwealth Attorney Steve Descano's office handled plea bargaining, charging decisions, and sentencing policies with respect to undocumented immigrants who committed crimes. In a statement, DOJ Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon said, quote, "Under my leadership, the Civil Rights Division will not allow local prosecutors to pick and choose winners based on their immigration status. This investigation will uncover whether this prosecutor is putting the community at risk in offering sweetheart deals to illegal immigrants charged with serious crimes," end quote. Descano said his policies are, quote, "fair, legal, and reflect the values of my community," end quote. Descano, though, has faced backlash from Republicans throughout his time as Fairfax County's top prosecutor, with opponents pointing to instances of crimes being committed by undocumented immigrants. Just last month, a Fairfax County teen who was in the country without documentation was sentenced to roughly a year in prison for assaulting several female students inside Fairfax High School, a sentence that was heavily criticized by DHS officials. I spoke to George Mason University political science professor Jeremy Mayer about the perception of these investigations being politically motivated.
I think Democrats are right to be skeptical because Trump is a person who has promised to go after his enemies using the DOJ. We may find out that this Fairfax prosecutor is doing unethical things. We may find out that Senator Lucas is doing unethical things involved in the business she may be involved in. But it is my hope that if we find major violations, that we trust the Justice Department, and if we don't, that we question these prosecutions.
I reached out to Senator Louise Lucas's office today to see if they had anything new to say about the investigation. I haven't heard back, but the senator did acknowledge in her statement that she would have more to say in the coming days. It's also worth noting that Steve Descano is set to testify before a House Judiciary Subcommittee on Immigration, Integrity, Security, and Enforcement next Thursday, and that was scheduled before the DOJ probe was announced.
Thanks, Mauricio. Now to some of tonight's other top stories. Our Mark Seagraves has learned that Mayor Bowser is now asking President Trump to reconsider declaring the sewage spill into the Potomac River a major disaster. Now, if the mayor's new request is approved, FEMA could pay up to 75% of the repair and cleanup costs. If the request is denied, the majority of the costs would be split between Maryland and Virginia. The final piece of rail on the Purple Line is now installed. Governor Wes Moore was joined by several elected leaders in Silver Spring this afternoon, where they celebrated the rail line that will soon connect parts of Prince George's and Montgomery counties. The Purple Line project has undergone several delays and is billions of dollars over the original budget proposed. The estimated timeline for completion is expected sometime in 2027. As the country gets ready to celebrate its 250th birthday, a special train decked out in red, white, and blue is making its debut now. This morning, Amtrak rolled out its Star-Spangled Freedom 250 Acela train at Union Station. The design includes the names of President Trump and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. And it's not just trains. Other forms of transportation, including buses and planes, are also being wrapped to celebrate America 250. Well, you may have seen the ads here on NBC4 or on social media. Maryland's 6th Congressional District Democratic primary is heating up. The major contenders are April McClain Delaney and David Trone. McClain Delaney is fighting to hold on to the seat which Trone previously held. News 4's Darcy Spence report it is shaping up to be one of the country's most expensive primaries.
April McClain Delaney currently holds the 6th congressional district seat. She's fighting to keep the job and fending off a challenge from fellow Democrat David Trone in what's become an increasingly contentious race. Trone previously held the seat but gave it up to run a failed bid for the U.S. Senate against Angela Alsobrooks. Todd Eberly is a political science professor at St. Mary's College of Maryland.
The two Democrats who agree with each other on almost everything, trying to convince voters that either is evil and unacceptable.
As the primary draws closer, political ads from both sides have taken a sharper tone. From Trone trying to link McClain Delaney to MAGA.
Why did Delaney vote against 150 other Democrats?
To McClain Delaney trying to link Trone to Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis.
Here's Governor Ron DeSantis with his friend David Trone.
Eberly says there's a concern that the fight could divide the party at a critical time when Democrats are focusing on the midterms and trying to take over the House.
But you've got two candidates who, as I said, for the most part, agree with each other on all of the major issues, but they've got to create in the voters' mind this impression of there being a division or a distinction between the two of them.
McClain Delaney has accused Trone of misleading voters by calling himself congressman and saying he's running for re-election, implying he's an incumbent. Trone framing himself as a fighter who will stand up to President Trump.
But if you want no kings, there can't be no fight.
The 6th district is tricky territory. While Democrats have held that seat for years, it also includes red counties in western Maryland.
And those western Maryland counties are very much Trump country. And the job of a representative is to represent all of your constituents, not just the folks who vote for you in a primary, but everyone.
In another recent ad, McClain Delaney gets the endorsement from Maryland elected leaders, including Governor Wes Moore, U.S. Senators Chris Van Hollen and Angela Alsobrooks, as well as Congressman Jamie Raskin. I asked the governor why he endorsed her in the primary.
April McClain Delaney has been a real champion and a real fighter for the state of Maryland, and I think people in Maryland know I like fighters.
Eberly says it could become the most expensive primary race in the nation this election season. Both candidates willing to draw from their personal fortunes. Trone spent more than $60 million of his own money in his primary fight for the U.S. Senate.
Because both of these candidates, Trone because of his personal fortune, McClain Delaney the benefit both of a personal fortune and incumbency, they're going to be able to spend a tremendous amount of money on this.
Darcy Spencer, News 4.
Maryland's primary is June 23rd. According to federal election reporting data, Trone has spent nearly $7 million so far. McClain Delaney has spent nearly $2 million. The cornerstone of our democracy is our right to vote. But how would you feel if you couldn't access a ballot on Election Day? A Virginia man says he almost had to sacrifice his constitutional right to vote because of a disability. Now he's on a mission to prevent that from happening to anyone ever again. Our Northern Virginia Bureau reporter Drew Wilder explains the push for Braille ballots is happening now.
Tate Jordan thought he was asking a pretty straightforward question when he showed up to vote in Virginia's recent special election, a question that he asked to an elections officer at his polling location.
I told the elections officer, hey, I'm legally blind. I can't read this provisional ballot request form. Could you guys fill it out if I tell you what to put for the first name, last name, address, things like that? And the election officer flat out says, we cannot do that. We have to remain impartial.
Like most people who are legally blind, Tate has some limited vision. He could color in a bubble just fine, but reading and writing a lot, that's a challenge. So there, in a Prince William County polling location, he felt like his constitutional right was being denied because of his disability.
Right, every person has a right to vote, and it was a loss of my independence as a person.
This is a matter of rights. This is not about convenience.
Chris Danielson works for the National Federation of the Blind and says federal law requires elections officers to have and offer accessible voting machines. But oftentimes, he says, the machines aren't set up, turned on, or sometimes they're not even offered as an option.
Still far too often, in fact, when a blind person comes to the polls, we're not able to access that private and independent voting experience.
Tate was fortunate, though. His mom was waiting for him out in the car, so she came in and helped him through his provisional ballot. But what if you didn't want your family to know who you were voting for? What if you don't have anyone to help? What if you simply wanted the same level of privacy and independence that others have? Tate wants Virginia to make that possible.
If there were Braille ballots, if there were maybe 1 or 2 copies of a provisional ballot form that was in Braille, people that are blind could simply show up and vote independently.
Tate says he's already met with his state legislator, Senator Danica Rome, to pitch the idea of Braille ballots.
I think Virginia is close to being fully accessible. We just need to address these few key issues.
If we want our government to work for the people, all of the people deserve access to our government. Reporting in Prince William County, Drew Wilder, News 4.
Well, we saw a few showers around our region today, but will they stick around for the weekend? Storm Team 4 Chief Meteorologist Doug Kammerer is tracking that for us tonight. Doug?
Yeah, we saw kind of a mixed bag across the area today. To the north, we saw more sunshine. To the south, we saw the clouds and the rain sticking in much cooler numbers. Your Friday's looking pretty good, but what about your weekend? I've got your updated forecast, including Mother's Day, coming up.
A powerful message through movement. This Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month. We're taking you behind the scenes of a dance company that has been telling the story of the Asian American experience for more than 3 decades. Next on News 4.
In the age of artificial intelligence, many people are turning to Google, Gemini, and ChatGPT to find their next bite to eat. But a new report out shows those platforms aren't showing you even half of the restaurants near you. Today, the location marketing tech company Uberall released what it's calling the industry's first benchmark report that measures how AI assistants are recommending restaurants now. The report found a majority of restaurant locations are entirely invisible in AI-generated recommendations. So if you were to search, where can I get a good pizza near me tonight, only 17% of restaurants ever show up in the answer, limiting your options. The report also found the top 3 brands for every type of food you look for captured more than half of the results. In burger chains, for example, the leader alone takes up 10 times the share of voice of the average brand. And if you're looking for restaurants based on its reviews, most AI platforms won't show you businesses with less than 4 stars. And even if the restaurant has an average of 4 stars, it could still fall far below the threshold AI platforms use to recommend. A new report out tonight also shows downtown D.C. taking a hit when it comes to tourism. It's according to the annual State of Downtown report released this morning. It cites the presence of the National Guard in the nation's capital for falling numbers. News 4's Jessica Albert spoke with members of the Business Improvement District about economic growth and where improvement is needed.
Downtown D.C. is using terms we can all understand to describe the state of downtown over the last year. Partly cloudy and partly sunny, meaning there's been some economic gains as well as some losses. Downtown DC Business Improvement District leaders are touting a 69% decrease in violent crime since the recent post-pandemic peak in 2023, and a 9% increase in people enjoying the city's arts, entertainment, and live sports. However, at the same time, downtown DC is tracking a decline in employment, specifically within the federal workforce after the DOGE cuts. The agency says the city saw a loss of nearly 6,000 jobs, the first decline since 2020. Downtown DC also says tourism to the city declined following the mobilization of the National Guard and the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. According to the report, hotel occupancy is down, international tourism is down, and attendance to the monuments and memorials are also down. Downtown DC staff members are hopeful for a boost in the next year.
We need downtown to be a magnet. We cannot just rely on the office worker, but we need residents, we need visitors. We want people to want to come downtown, and understanding that the economy is not just about the haves and the have-nots, but it is about infiltrating the overall DC economy. When downtown does well, the city does well.
Downtown DC is also tracking retail development, saying it appears to be stabilizing, with retail openings slightly outpacing closings in 2025. In the district, Jessica Albert, News 4.
Doug joins us now to talk about the weather and a mixed bag out there today.
It really was. Sunshine to the north, came out a little bit earlier. Clouds and rain stuck down to the south, and big difference in the numbers, too. I mean, some areas got up to near 70 degrees in our northern zones. We're down to the south. It was much cooler out there right now. Sun going down after 8 o'clock. A really nice evening, but it's on the cool side, and we're going to continue to be rather cool. Temperature-wise right now sitting at 59 degrees. Winds out of the south at 14 miles an hour off the cooler river. But temperatures around the area have been cool today. 58 in Annapolis, only 54 right now in Patuxent River. And look back to the north and west. This is where the sun was earlier today. So 67 in Martinsburg, 64 in Hagerstown, 63 in Frederick. In these locations, the sun was out by 11 a.m. Down to the south, you barely saw any sunshine, maybe just over the last hour or two. That's it. The rain, that's also made its way on through the area. So we're done with that for the most part. Nothing around the D.C. metro area. A couple of showers continuing down toward the northern neck, trying to move across southern St. Mary's County here. But you can see the rain quickly working its way out of here. The clouds, they're also working out of here. You can see that boundary working its way to the south. As it does, we're seeing some cool air work its way in. So we're talking about a chilly night tonight and a cold start tomorrow morning. What do I mean by cold? Well, how about we stop this first of all at 11 o'clock tonight, and we've got temperatures into the low to mid 50s. That's a cool night, but watch what happens by early tomorrow morning. This is now 5 a.m., still dark outside, 37 in Frederick, 37 Manassas, 36 in Hagerstown. That's some really chilly air. Now, the good news is the sun comes up at 6 a.m. So by the time we get to 8 o'clock, most of us waking up, stepping out the front door, getting the kids to the bus stop, we're back to around 50 degrees. So it'll be a cold overnight period, but we're going to warm very nicely during the day tomorrow, back into the mid to upper 60s. And this is by 11, 12 o'clock tomorrow. Now, we will see some cloud cover developing during the day, so we'll see a mix of clouds and sun. I'm going for a high temperature right around 70 degrees during the day. So I'll call it a fantastic Friday, at least a fantastic Friday afternoon. Another cool evening tomorrow, but still looking good if you're going out on your Friday night. Saturday, a few showers. And when I say a few, widely scattered. Most of us remain dry, high of 73. 78 on Sunday. Mother's Day looks great. There's a chance for some evening showers, but once again, most of us remain dry, especially throughout the day parts. And then it gets rather cool. Look at Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On the cooler side with chances of showers most days. Much more on what to expect as far as next week goes. Look at that, near 80 by next weekend.
All right, we'll take that. Doug, thank you. Well, it is Mother's Day weekend, this weekend again. If you still haven't made plans with Mom, get on it. News 4's Tommy McFly has all the ideas.
A very happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, including mine. After you do brunch, maybe take her to Europe. No, I'm not talking about a red-eye out of Dulles. EU Open House is back. European Union countries' embassies are welcoming visitors on Saturday, and depending on the country, you can check out cultural food, music, performances, and companies from those nations showing off. Bring your ID just in case, pack your patience, use Metro, and prepare for lines. Also, if you want to get that last-minute but very thoughtful gift, the Delray Arts Market is happening at Mount Vernon Rec Center Fields in Alexandria, or it's the mother of all yard sales. In Adams Morgan, it's the DMV's oldest and biggest community yard sale, benefiting the Adams Morgan Health nonprofit, Mary's Center. For the anglers and fishing curious alike, DC Tackle Shop is opening in Navy Yard.
It's right on the water, on the boardwalk, next to the Yards Marina.
For reels, we fished the river with Captain Tim last spring, along with 2 local fish influencers, Ernie the Hog Snatcher, and Has Life Fishing.
It's not just a fishing supply store, though. We also have our liquor license coming, so people will be able to sit on the patio and enjoy a beer.
DC Tackle Shop is planning a big grand opening on Saturday in Southeast. To net another kind of good time on the hardwood, the Mystics are back. Cheer on Our Ladies against Liberty in the home opener, Sunday 3 o'clock at Care First Arena in Congress Heights. However you're celebrating and whoever you're celebrating with, have an awesome weekend.
Thank you, Tommy. Stick around. The News 4 Rundown is coming right back after this short break. Here at News 4, we're honoring Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander heritage. For more than 3 decades, a DC-based modern dance company has performed works to celebrate this month. Amy Cho takes us inside the rehearsal for the dance company.
With each of these expressive movements, there's also a mission. The Dana Ty Soon Burgess Dance Company is telling the story of the Asian American experience.
And what does it mean to you to be part of an Asian American dance company that focuses on telling those stories on stage?
I've really enjoyed it. As someone who is 4th and 5th generation Chinese American, it's always been a part that's kind of been missing in my life.
I love to listen to stories from the Asian American community, key milestones within Asian American history, and try and figure out what are the common themes that all of humanity deal with. And then that's what I choreograph about.
Dana Ty Soon Burgess started the company 33 years ago with a group of friends. Growing up in New Mexico, he was one of just a handful of Asian Americans. He started doing martial arts, then took a dance class and was hooked.
Dance is a universal language that can speak to all of us, all of our different communities, and bridge any gaps that we might feel between one another.
He is allowing us to be true to ourselves and to what we can bring in our dancing and in the stories that we also tell.
Over the past 3 decades, the company has performed at the White House, the United Nations, and more than 30 countries. They also have a mentorship program for young Asian American dancers.
It helps them feel proud about who they are. It allows them to explore their own backgrounds and also gives them a sense of discipline.
Paving the way for future generations and telling diverse stories through dance. Amy Cho, News 4.
Be sure to celebrate AAN HPI Heritage Month with us by tuning into our special airing Friday evening, May 29th at 7:30. We'll also share several of the stories from that special program throughout the month right here on News 4. And that's going to do it for the rundown for this Thursday night. Be sure to join us right back here for News 4 at 11. For now, I'm Jim Hadley. Have a great night, everybody.